Hey, EC here, and today I want to talk about something quite interesting to me, and that's actually why Nintendo Switch Online is like the most hated gaming online service out of all the major ones. So the major ones obviously being PS Plus, and Xbox, Network, which is for the Xbox Game Pass, as well as Switch Online. But Switch Online seems to get a lot of the flack, and I'm going to go over the reasons for that in this video. And I want to start out with the obvious fact: we shouldn't have to pay for online for these consoles. Like, online for these consoles is the biggest scam that we've been made to like believe is not a scam. Like, we all just kind of fall for it thanks to like what Xbox did in like 2005. So since then we've all just thought, oh yeah, we have to pay for it because we have to pay for the servers and stuff. And I do understand that that is a cost that these companies do have to eat. They have to eat at the cost of these servers. However, a lot of the times the servers are not even being hosted by the companies like Nintendo, like Microsoft, or like Sony. These servers are most of the time being hosted by the actual developers themselves and publishers themselves, which include companies like EA, Sega, companies like that, who are not owned by these major companies. So why we're paying for the online for the services that aren't even being funded by like Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo was what it is. But I want to digress. That's one of the main points. Right, that's the first thing anyway. Second out of the way is the actual quality of the online for the service. Now, the online service for Switch Online is not the best. It still uses a peer-to-peer system, which means if you want to play a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, hope all your friends have like NASA level Wi-Fi, because otherwise, one guy has a drop in the game, you're all gonna start having stutters and stuff. It is not a great way to run a online game service, to have such games, be so dependent on everyone having decent Wi-Fi, because the games don't have dedicated servers, and basically you'll all be connected via each other's Wi-Fi instead of being a dedicated server, which basically means one person has a bad connection, you're all done for. Which for this sort of era of gaming now, where everything is moving more online, more digitized and whatnot, it's not really ideal, especially for a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has a lot of high intensity fighting in it. Another reason is, the games that you put on Switch Online just aren't really worth paying for in some regards. Like, yeah, there are some games that people are desperate to play, like the GameCube stuff, for example, but a drip feed for that content, and the lineup they've made on offer, to a lot of people is not enough. Like, I'll argue that the price you're paying is fair for what you get, but the quality of the online service needs to be improved, and obviously the game library itself is just an interesting thing in general, because you always see people complaining online, like, why is this game not added? Why is this not game added? I'm a hypocrite with that, because I've obviously made videos like that myself. Some of my most used videos are talking about games that I think should be on Switch Online. But the idea that Nintendo drips feeds that content as well does not help out, and it does also kind of hurt, obviously, the value of the service, because you can't promote your online service offering these retro games and stuff, and not actually giving us a way to own these games or download them. And this is also another thing: is the death of the virtual console is really something that is weighing over Switch Online's head the entire time it's existed, because obviously this service replaced the virtual console for the Switch and Switch 2. And obviously people who were used to buying these games, wanted to play these games again on the Switch and Switch 2, they wanted to buy them digitally, they wanted to own copies of these games, so they'd be in their library, especially with the Nintendo account. But really, they've just kind of took that away and made it a subscription. And that's another thing we ought to factor in. Subscriptions have been destroying like people's lives for like years, because everyone will pay for like a Spotify and a Netflix, like, that's established. But then when you have more than one gaming platform, like, say, let's say you have a PlayStation and a Switch, or a PlayStation or an Xbox and a Switch, you have to pay for two different subscriptions to get all the content. Likewise as well, if you're watching movies and stuff, like movies and TV shows, you got to pay for at least 13 different streaming services now. Music, it's not as complicated, because obviously a lot of the music services offer the same songs, but still you have to pay for one of them as well. Plus you've got YouTube Premium, you've got all these, you've got to pay for your editing softwares and all sorts of stuff. So there's just so much stuff you've got to subscribe to now. It doesn't help. Now that's just my take, guys. I think the idea that, the actual quality of the online servers is not like best. The fact that we are tired of all these subscriptions, and obviously the death of the virtual console, are the main reasons why Switch Online is like the most hated version of, obviously, an online service for gaming at the minute. I think also the fact we need to factor into this as well is also the fact that Switch Online was at least free for the first year, so that also needs to be factored into this argument as well, because Nintendo Switch Online should have been free, because it was free for the first year of the Switch's lifespan. Now, if you guys agree with my take in this video, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, like, all that sort of stuff. Let me know your opinion, because obviously, if you comment down below, we can start a conversation and we can keep going. Anyway, I've been EC and I'm signing out. Make sure you subscribe, like I said, and I'll see you all next video. Peace.